my final project centers around deaf culture and specifically ASL storytelling. Storytelling is found in all cultures. Storytelling is entertainment. Storytelling is educational. Storytelling preserves culture. Storytelling is one of the oldest traditions in every language and culture. Sign storytelling is no different. Sign stories are passed on from generation to generation. Deaf culture is founded on storytelling. This is because deaf people have traditionally relied on storytelling as a way to communicate their history and culture. This culture is passed down through generations of families. With 90% of deaf children born to hearing parents, most of the time, deaf people are a linguistic minority within their own families. Since deafness occurs in all genders, races, religions, and economic classes, a very high priority is placed on its one shared component, its language. A popular hobby for deaf people includes vlogging, where ASL users can show the potential of a three-dimensional language through creative storytelling. There are various forms of ASL storytelling, including sharing life experiences and narrative storytelling, poetry, ABC stories, hand-shaped stories, and number stories. The important elements of ASL storytelling include using animated facial expressions, utilizing ASL role-playing methods, body shifting and eye gaze to model the characters in the story, having a wide range of ASL vocabulary to accurately represent specific concepts being conveyed. Also using classifiers liberally throughout the story, incorporating mime when it's appropriate, and telling culturally appropriate and representational stories. Sharing life experiences and narrative storytelling. Some important elements for this are setting the scene by providing a visual picture prior to telling the story. Characterization setup. So you first describe the character, then you act out the characteristics of the character. Role shifting is also important to show the difference in character shifts by exaggerated body movements like moving to a new area of floor space. And expression. As always, use your expression to enhance characterization as well as character shifting to show emotions through body language. So this is an example of narrative ASL storytelling. The little girl in this snippet of the video is telling the story of the Grinch, and her facial expressions and her body language are really on point in telling the story. Plus, she's super cute. You'll also notice as she goes through the story that it's done with ASL grammar. So it's done with topic, comment, order. And she's such a cutie. I thought this was a great story for this time of the year. ASL poetry is our next type of storytelling. In ASL poetry, the signer's body and the immediate environment create the frame of the text. So word signs can be expressed poetically using regular or modified hand movements, palm orientations, and hand locations. Facial expressions, as always, further add to the hand signs. And poetic expression can be obtained through mouth and head movements. Because ASL's grammar consists of the body's movements through three-dimensional space, it has a wide array of visual and linguistic tools with which to create a variety of representations. So rhymes or ideas can be represented through eye and eyebrow movements. Expressing ideas can be done through body movements, and subtle and strong pauses between signs can emphasize an idea as well. In addition, ASL makes extensive use of a classifier system that consists of classes of hand shapes and their movements that describe the physical properties of objects, their location, size, shape, dimensions, scale, and number.
Poetry for deaf people is a new form of creativity. Most of my work, most of my poems I've created on my own, in my original work. Spoken poetry and visual poetry are opposite to each other here. You can hear the repetition and whatever else in the voice and the cadence of spoken poetry, but visual poetry uses this fully three-dimensional space, and the rhythm is more in the movements. ASL Slam, I feel, really provides something for the deaf community to be able to socialize and interact, to be able to learn, and to be able to express themselves. I would like to expose deaf and hearing people to this art form and show them that ASL is a sophisticated language.
ABC storytelling is actually something that I had never heard of, so I learned it when I was putting together this project. It's a signed story that follows ABC order, meaning you start with A and go to Z using that hand sign and acting out a story. So when signing an ABC story, it's very important that you use role shifting and facial expressions because your signs are going to be your finger spelling letters of the alphabet. So most of the meaning of your story comes from body language. So here's a little clip of a ABC story. It's actually another Christmas story. But I thought it was really interesting because I had never actually seen one of these before. Hand-shaped storytelling is yet another form of ASL storytelling. It's an ASL story that only uses one hand shape for all the signs in the story. So you can imagine facial expressions and role shifting are very important in a story like this. Here's an example using the letter F hand sign. Number stories are yet another type. These are stories that are made with the hand signs for numbers, either counting forwards or backwards. So again, facial expressions, role shifting, all very important factors. Here is an example of a number story from 1 to 10, and it is called Sick Day. The last section of my presentation is talking about the benefits of ASL storytelling. So some of the benefits are language development. It helps expand vocabulary building and children's language acquisition, and it also helps ASL students' language acquisition and learning sentence structure. Listening and verbal communication as well. So engaging storytelling expands the listener's listening skills and comprehension, and it increases verbal proficiency. And it also stimulates imagination and creativity. So the storytelling allows for learning and playing creatively with language. Here are some ASL storytelling resources that I found that have lots of great examples of the various types of storytelling, and some really good ones using children's books, really bringing the stories to life.